Still getting used to the controls of this bike, are really how big it is. But first, let me tell you what it is. So I found what I think was absolute steal of a deal on a brand new but prior year model Tiger 1200 GT Explorer. So this is the 2023 model, and I know there were some changes made to the engine and with the 2024 model that may have fixed some of the minor quirks with this bike, but I'm very much a value shopper. I'm not rich by any stretch of the imagination, but I did want to go ahead and purchase a touring bike. And admittedly, I've probably been a victim of adventure bike marketing, just like so many people, especially my generation, the near 50-year-olds, if you will, and older. And just the idea of having a bike that's versatile enough to do just about anything. Now, albeit there are limitations on every bike, I've come to very much realize that this is a very expensive hobby, and bikes are very niche, right? They all have a specific niche, but an adventure bike gets you as close to a jack of all trade bike as there is. So the ADV bikes that I had considered, it was actually a pretty decent list. An Africa Twin had found itself at the top of the list, and if there would have been an ES, not sure I would have bought I just wanted the version with the electronic suspension. Not sure I wanted the one with the DCT, but I did very much want the ES variant of the Africa Twin. But there just wasn't one anywhere in my immediate area, and there was one about 300 miles away in a dealership that I won't name, but they refused to let me test drive that unit, even though I'm darn near 50-year-old man, fully endorsed with insurance, capable of buying anything that I want. I had no problems with being liable if I dropped the doggone bike. I just would have bought it, right? But they refused to let me test drive, and I would absolutely not. Hear this, dealers. People aren't going to spend money places that they can't test drive these premium, expensive bikes. It's just not going to happen. They also had an older model of the KTM 1290. I found that one to be a little bit lower, a little bit easier to flat foot. I didn't test drive it, but it did give me some confidence to start considering KTM. But KTM at that point in time started going through the issues with insolvency and just a lot of uncertainty. You know, it's a pretty good chance that a brand that big was going to survive, but there was just too much uncertainty. And even though they were extremely heavily discounted, and KTM was basically offering free extended warranties or extending the factory warranty, I believe, to 4 years at the time on certain models, that was pretty attractive. But the closest one to me was, again, 6 hours away. Living in Mississippi absolutely sucks sometimes for a variety of things like premium motorcycles. It's just not a big variety. And so I didn't want to be in the situation that I am with my Aprilia, where I just have to travel that far to get a bike serviced. I can do some of the stuff myself, but if there's anything serious or just warranty work, recall, I don't want to be having to travel 6-7 hours away to get a bike serviced. I had been passing by the Tigers, and 1200s, and I absolutely hated the way they looked online. I was like, man, this is a bad looking bike, and it's huge, and it just doesn't look like that would be the bike for me. And I just kept walking by and literally going to the dealership about every 3-4 days just to look at what new inventory that they had, try to wrap my mind around what bike I wanted to get. And luckily this dealership allows you, which was Got Gear, they'll allow you to test drive, or at least they let me, I shouldn't speak for everybody, they'll allow me to test drive several different bikes. 2 variants of the Tiger 1200. One was the Rally Explorer, which I absolutely love, but we just couldn't work the numbers out, or that would have been the bike I bought. This GT Explorer that I ended up purchasing, and I also test drove the Honda Transalp. I ended up passing on the Transalp part primarily because of the cruise control, but that bike is also pretty doggone tall, which would be good for off-road. But me taking a bike this big off-road is just going to be very, very limited, so I need something that's more so good on the road. It has all the bells and whistles that I'm looking for. So I test drove the Tiger GT Explorer first, and really liked that bike. Really liked it. Really surprised me. Putting that suspension in that soft setting, and this bike having shaft drive, it was just, to me, it was just really smooth, really easy to maneuver. Even though I'm hearing so many other people report that this bike is just top heavy, too top heavy. I don't find that to be the case. And so it actually blew me away. And so I started doing more and more research, watching more and more of the reviewers talk about this bike, and I just began giving it more consideration. Then I test drove the Rally Pro, and I absolutely love that bike, especially in that sage green. I think that is a unique looking bike, beautiful looking bike, especially in person. These bikes look so much better in person than they do on any other photography that I've seen. And if we could have worked out the numbers on that bike, that's what I would have gotten instead of this. But I really like this GT Explorer with this huge gas tank and the big fairings and the more road bias setup, road friendly setup. Just absolutely remarkable. So some of the things I like about this bike, and it's gonna be similar to my Aprilia, I love bikes with tech, and I don't think it's making me a worse rider. I think it's making me a better rider by closing that learning gap some. I don't have a trainer, so I've got to teach myself safety, and I've got to teach myself, good riding technique. So having a computer that kind of covers up some of the mistakes that I'm making, that's important to me right now, because I've got to be able to do this safely, or it hurts me and it hurts my family. Another thing I like about this bike is just how gosh darn comfortable it is. This is probably the most comfortable bike that I've ever ridden. I mean, to me, even surpassing the Harley. And that might be a stretch for some. I might get called out on that, but again, this is my opinion. Yours may be different. Yeah, there we go. Let's look at my fuel stats here. Kind of easy to get to. Alright, so the bike says that it's been averaging, shows that it's been averaging about 41 miles. Now it's saying about 61. Well, anyway, that's a ridiculous amount currently. That's not correct. But overall, it's been averaging about 41 miles per gallon. And I've got about 70 miles of range as it stands right now. And you can see the tank's on 2 bars. Yeah, fuel levels at 2 bars. So I've got plenty of range for where I'm going. So guys, this is a short review of my thoughts around my brand new Tiger, some of the reasons why I got it, and what I think about it. I'll catch you guys on the rebound, and thanks for watching.